Hurricane Milton remains the main weather story of the week as we see pretty much calm conditions here in central Virginia. The latest on Milton, a Category 4 storm, and it has gotten a little bit larger in size since yesterday, thanks to it weakening, but nonetheless remains a danger storm as it makes its way towards the northeast and towards the western portion of Florida here. We have some hurricane watches as well as warnings up and down the Florida coast, and that's going to extend on towards the eastern coast of Florida here. Still projected to be a major hurricane as it makes landfall sometime Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and that's going to come with some potentially devastating storm surge here. Now, as far as local impacts are concerned here for central Virginia, we're just going to be looking at some high altitude clouds as it makes its way off towards the Atlantic Ocean, but we won't be seeing much in terms of immediate impacts. Perhaps maybe some rough rip currents off the coast of many of our beaches, but really the main impact will be felt in Florida, as well as potentially along the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, as well as even into North Carolina with some tropical storm watches, as well as potentially some storm surge. Now, Tampa likely going to be seeing some devastating storm surge in the realm of 12 to 15 feet. Now, that could inundate some of the first floors of many buildings along some of the water here in Tampa here, but there's also other areas up and down the western coast likely going to be seeing some significant storm surge here. And even along the eastern coast of Florida here, they're likely going to be seeing some storm surge there upwards around 6 feet too, and that could extend also into portions of South Carolina. Now, as far